is cyber insurance or cyber liability insurance or science or cyber security insurance. You're going to see it referred to as many different names, but it's usually the same or similar thing. And it's going to provide coverage for losses due to particular things that are now being excluded from other types of insurance policies. So cyber attacks, data breaches, other technology related risk. Some insurers offer this as first and third party coverage separately or together. You always have to kind of read into the policy. But the thing is that a lot of what used to be taken care of for MSPs in the MSP space was that you got your general liability insurance and then you got your E&O insurance or your professional liability insurance. And for a great long while, that would have been sufficient in a majority of situations to provide the risk mitigation on losses that an MSP would need to have. But as things have been changing in the landscape recently, insurers, their job is to make profits. They do not make profit by giving, out insurance policies that are going to constantly have claims filed against them for large amounts of money. So they have to increase premiums, they have to reduce coverage, they have to tighten up the scope. And that's what everybody has been seeing and feeling. And this is why it's kind of um, coming more into conversations than before. Um, it's not because it's not because everybody's realizing they need cybersecurity insurance as much as everybody is realizing at the same time that, gee, cybersecurity insurance is getting really expensive and really onerous with the demands that they have. But the cybersecurity insurance is in there for, well, again, those things that your E&O insurance or that your general liability or your vehicle insurance is going to cover. Your E&O insurance for anybody that's not, because, well, again, we have MSPs of all different sizes here today with us. E&O insurance is your professional liability. So that is your insurance for you to cover you in the event that you or your company, through either something you did or something you did not do, can be seen as a negligent act that causes damages somewhere. That's where your E&O's, that's a loose definition of it, but that's kind of where your E&O insurance lives. But it's not going to cover anything for a situation where you've gone into a client and you've set up everything the way it's supposed to be and everything is done by the book, but yet they still suffer a cyber event of some sort. Your E&O insurance 99% of the time is not going to offer you any protection in that situation. So that's why, cyber liability insurance, cybersecurity insurance, it is providing you protection for things that your other policies are probably not offering you protection for. Um,
Basically, you need the cyber liability insurance on top of the E&O. Is
right, yeah, they don't, they are not, there might be very small places where they overlap, but one is never going to be a replacement for the other.
right? Okay.
Um, and the next part here, and this is something that if you have a challenge with understanding insurance in general, um, the next two slides are really important things to kind of take home to help you get a view of, well, what protects who in a situation. There are insurance policies and coverage can come in either first party coverage or third party coverage. And what this means is, well, for first party coverage, it's covering the insured entity and its losses. So it'll provide, whenever we're talking about first party cyber liability, it's going to be covering losses from cyber attacks or data breaches or any other covered event, and it's going to be able to cover the cost of what did it cost for the incident's response uh, in response to whatever that event was. Any post-threat event investigation, what the money, some of the money that has to be spent post-ransomware attack to get the environment back into operating order, being able to cover the cost for notifying individuals about exposure of PII or PHI or PAN or other personal information, paying for credit monitoring for anybody's data you had ownership of that was exposed during a data breach or a cyber event. This is all going to cover the insured entity's cost of doing things, of operating, of doing what is expected of them to have to do. If you try to do, and this is always getting into the particulars of the policy and the insurance company the policy is with, there is something that they refer to as embetterment. So they will pay for the cost of dealing with the immediate aftermath of a, say, a ransomware attack, but they are not going to pay anything for you to embetter the environment, to make it more resilient, to um, add new security controls or anything. They may tell you you need to do those things so that you can maintain the coverage because now that you've filed a claim, you are a more risky prospect for them, and they may require you to improve the security controls in an environment, but they're not going to pay for that part. So that's one of the distinctions to know of, is that first party cyber liability insurance is going to cover you and your losses from an event. It does not confer any benefits past you to the client. Your client is not going to be able to get any payout from your first party cyber liability insurance if they were impacted during a ransomware event or any other qualifying cyber event. And this is third party cyber liability. This is what you need so that anything that's not going to be covered by your E&O, by your general liability, any of your other traditional, business insurances, a third party protects you against claims that a third party, your client, would make against you because of the losses that they experienced. Um, it does not provide for covering. Uh, and this is where it gets kind of, you have no choice. You must read policies to understand what the policies provide. But typically, they do not provide for covering for the financial costs that a third party is going to experience whenever they're responding to a covered event. It's not for your insurance company that's giving you insurance coverage to give money to one of your clients for them to respond to their threat event. It's not for that. It protects you, the insured business, in the event that a third party has damages and then they come back and look to recover those damages from you through whatever means they want to try and do that. Usually through, filing civil cases or civil suits in court here in the U.S. So that distinction there between what first party gives you to protect you and what third party does not give you. This is why it's so important for everybody involved to have some form of cyber liability or data breach insurance, is because there is no piggybacking. Just because one party has their own coverage, really that's not going to confer any, real tangible, deliverable benefits at the end whenever claims have to be made. There's all kinds of ancillary and knock-on benefits of, well, if we're going to have insurance coverage, then that means we have to meet certain standards and requirements from the insurer. Therefore, we're more resilient, and that's a benefit for everybody. But that's kind of those intangible things. Whenever it comes to actual deliverable uh, at the end of a, at the end of a claim, Again, it's back to that there's no piggybacking. If you're in a relationship with a client, and this is the answers we got a while ago, do you have clients that, do you require your clients to have their own insurance coverage? If you have your own cyber liability insurance and you're counting on your coverage to provide benefits to your clients if they get hit with a ransomware event, I would not count on it, and I would read my policies with as really, really closely. And that's why, and that is one of the reasons why a lot of people are now starting to go to their clients and telling them, I need you to have your own cyber reliability or your own data breach insurance. You're not going to go and say this to every client you have. If you are a smaller MSP supporting little small mom and pop retail operations or things like that, small offices with, 5, 10, 15 employees, uh, there might be an argument to be had about why they don't need insurance because, well, they don't process sensitive personal data for their clients. All they're doing is selling they're selling wholesale or distributing from another manufacturer, and they're carrying uh, all of the sensitive data themselves. Then, well, that small business is probably just fine with their own general liability, their own E&O insurance, their own inventory insurance. That's probably got them taken care of, and they don't need cyber liability insurance. But with the digital transformation that's been happening over the past 20 years, and the acceleration of that digital transformation of many, many, many businesses, uh, U.S. is a service economy, not a manufacturing economy at this point. That's probably not going to change anytime soon. It's going to continue to be services based, which means more technology based delivery of those services. So the requirement for more and more, well, not the requirement, but the likelihood that smaller businesses are going to need cyber liability insurance is going to increase over time. And that's just the nature of most new businesses that are being created today in some way, shape, or form are using computers or are using sensitive data being uh, managed, manipulated, stored on computers. And it is going to increase the likelihood that you're going to have clients that need it, and you need to be prepared for the conversation because it is going to come up more often.